G'day everyone, I am the man called Kemosabe, the man with the plan from the land down under, and this is my review of KNOCKOUT and TIGERSTYLE number 1 by Adam Falp and Fraser Campbell. As usual, we'll talk about the cover, the story, then look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of this comic. The cover is very retro with old school, heavily inked figures. There are elements of Kirby and Michael Fife, creator of Copra. The colours are bold and flat with decades old paper textures, wear and tear, even prominent Bend-Aid dots on some colours. This all works together to make a punchy, blaxploitation style gonzo movie poster effect that is very striking. Combined with the fun character names and their obvious resemblance to more well-known and loved characters, this cover would entice me at least to have a close look at the book within. We start by meeting Lyndon Kirk, a boxer disqualified for testing positive to performance-enhancing drugs. He denies using them and when angered punches a hole in the locker with a glowing green fist. Cut to the present and the disgraced champ is reduced to street fighting. He wins the fight but only just, refusing to use his power for fear it would kill someone. When he refuses to slay his fallen foe, the local crime boss, Golden Gloves, which is such a great name, calls in his thugs to finish both combatants. While it's not stated, it appears that at least some of Golden Glove's underlings have powers, like this fire-breathing fellow right here. Watching from on high, a shadowy figure deems the 5-on-1 battle unfair and intervenes. TIGERSTYLE teleports into the fray and Kirk realises with a capable ally at his side he doesn't have to fear cutting loose with his real power. The duo are winning the battle until Golden Gloves pulls out a machine gun and fires at them. TIGERSTYLE teleports the pair away. He meets Sonia, who is looking for missing kids connected to Golden Glove's street fights, her nephew amongst the number. KNOCKOUT and TIGERSTYLE promise to look into the missing kids, teleporting away so she can't follow them and therefore stay out of danger. Golden Gloves refuses to answer their questions and attacks the duo. As they brawl, a group of ninjas show up and ambush everyone involved. These ninjas appear to have the ability to drain the life force from anyone they touch. KNOCKOUT and TIGERSTYLE hold their own against the ninjas, but they are swiftly defeated when their leader, the Shepherd, arrives. The issue ends with this classically styled cliffhanger. There's so much retro style in this book. If you grew up reading late Silver Age comics or early Bronze Age comics, Iron Fist, Heroes for Hire, Shang-Chi, Ghost Rider when Johnny Blaze lived in LA and worked as a Hollywood stuntman, you will enjoy so many aspects of this book. The dialogue is fun, punchy, and just that little bit stiff, like classic comic book writing was. No bend to speak here, this stuff reads like classic 70s fare. I didn't realise how much I missed this stuff until recently. The colours and bold artwork evoke the era. Again, there's Kirby energy in these illustrations, and some of that coiled up, fit-to-burst energy of Michael Fife on Copra. We get elements of a larger story. Who slipped Kirk the performance-enhancing drugs, and why do they give him superpowers? What implications are there if performance-enhancing drugs are out there that can give people abilities like this? TIGERSTYLE is even more mysterious. His accent appears to make him either English or Australian, and I know which I'd prefer. Why does he dress the way he does? Why can he teleport? Where did he learn martial arts? The pacing, action, and payoff are all pulled straight from the 70s. The cover told you what you were getting in for when you picked this book up. You can't claim you didn't know. The colours are neon gonzo, high contrast and bold. You remember how bold, flat pinks and yellows were in the 70s? How they stood out on newsprint pages? That's replicated here. This book hits all kinds of sensory mnemonics for me. The textured paper and huge Bend-Aid dots give this whole thing a worn, used feel. I feel like you might have picked this book up at a second-hand store rather than read it on a PC or tablet. The art has energy, that's true, and it's charming in its rawness, but it's not very good in a traditional sense. Even Kirby has his detractors, and people seem to either love or hate the art on Copra. As much as I like this book, I would have liked it even more if the art was just a little bit better. Comics are a visual medium first and foremost. As it stands with the current art, this book feels less legitimate, more like a gimmick, a nostalgic fling with something that resembles the good old days. If the art was a few degrees better, it would feel more like a real comic, like a collectible piece of a larger story. With better art, it would be something I would want to own physical copies of. As it stands, it's a book I'm very happy to read digitally. There's an additional credit on the front page based on characters created by Ian Laurie. I wasn't familiar with the name, so I did some looking online. Eventually I came across an Instagram account of an artist by that name with quite a few credits to his name, whose style is somewhere in the middle of Frank Quitely and Jack Kirby. He's also really fond of the mirror tool found in Procreate. I found the characters created by credit unusual because these characters are very clearly Power Man and Iron Fist. While their powers aren't exactly the same, their visuals and style are close enough that I'd be worried about being sued. I'm not saying these type of homages are bad, I have a few of them myself. They're archetypes. I've talked about this before. It's a visual shorthand. You see a flying guy in a cape with no mask and you have Superman any way you slice it. You see a guy dressed dark and leaping from rooftop to rooftop fighting crime with gadgets and kung fu and you've got some variation of Batman. The advantage to using these archetypes of accessing the visual shorthand is you can draw upon decades of history and association to give your characters weight and legitimacy. It doesn't always work because people are wise to the grift, but even the people who don't like this trick are still affected by it. Knockout seems to actually have Iron Fist's powers, and TIGERSTYLE is a teleporting martial artist, but everything else is very similar, even aspects of their personality. This similarity is part of the appeal of the book. If you like the idea, you'll probably like the book, but if you don't, you probably won't. In fact, if the similarities of Luke Cage and Denny Rand were removed, I think the book would be worse off for it. I think a lot of people will be turned off by the art, and even more will see the characters as rip-offs of established IPs and give it a pass as well. Which is a shame because it's a lot of fun. And if modern Marvel could recapture some of this energy, some of this spirit, maybe they wouldn't be failing as hard as they are. I'll keep an eye on this book. I'll be tracking future campaigns, but I'll also be hoping the creative team can pull this comic up from being fun and quirky to being a really solid book that matters. I hope they transform it from gimmick to an unmissable title. That brings us to the end of this review. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already, and I hope you join me for the next video. Take care.